Hello everyone, it's Dave Shapton again, and the reason I said again is that you saw us this morning with our live transmission from the Integrated Systems Europe ISE show in the RAI Centre here in Amsterdam. And I'm here with Bas Goossens from Ministry of Frames, and we're going to, in a minute, we're going to talk about what it's like to run a small successful production company in a thriving city like Amsterdam. First of all, I just want to explain for those few of you that didn't see our broadcast this morning, exactly what we're doing. So this is live, and what's remarkable about this is that we're actually not using any equipment apart from, obviously, a camera and some microphones. And how we're able to do this is a product called Sony's virtual production system, and it's exactly what it says. It's virtualized virtually all of the equipment and the cables that you need to do a live production. So the camera we're speaking into is connected directly to the cloud, and inside the cloud Sony has the equivalent of an entire live production system. There's a switcher, there's transcoding, and there's everything you need to get it out to several platforms at once. So it makes the whole process remarkably simple, and essentially, well, we got over here from the exhibition centre. We just jumped in a taxi and we have all the equipment we need. Over here we've got my colleague from RedShark, Matt, who's working the system and just keeping an eye on everything. But he's doing that through a web browser. He could be anywhere. He could be in Australia. He could be in Taiwan. And indeed, we could be co-presenting this with another camera crew somewhere else in the world. And you can do that at no additional cost because it all goes straight into the cloud, and the cloud isn't in a place. It's everywhere. So, so we wanted to show how straightforward it is to just get in a car and go across the city and set this up and do a live broadcast like this. So I'm going to talk to Bas for a while. You probably know Bas if you're a RedShark reader because his face will be familiar from all the reviews and valuable insights that he gives us on this industry. But just to start off, Bas, I think it'd be great if you could remind us how you started in this business, and it's the way a lot of people started these days.
Yeah. I started using a DSLR, shock. So I have never been to any film school, and during my student years, I basically did some freelance photography and videography, and I did that as my side hustle, if you like. And from there on, that actually grew into a more serious business. So,
what was your first camera?
Well, here you go. Like, luckily, I have it with
that
me.
That was there, after all these years.
Yeah. So this is a 6D, and well, this is the first camera that I owned that could do video. While a lot of people went for the 5D Mark II, I won't go into that discussion. But this was this will probably have made me the most profit out of any camera that I've filmed.
Irony.
Yeah, in a way. So yeah, this is basically what I used, and then just had a 24-105 lens on it, and I did a lot of productions basically just like that, and well, figuring it out. And that was really, it's really useful because you can use it and it doesn't cost that much, and you can basically kick off. And there's a lot of clients and I think there's a big market for this type of production. So, yeah.
And we actually met you because we needed some people to make some video for us at IBC when was it, about 6 years ago, 5 years ago?
Something like that,
Can't
6,
remember.
I think.
Yeah, 6. And you turned up with your brother Mart, who's sat over here, was on sound, and it just worked really well. And we've kind of tracked your success and growth. Yeah. you know, it's never an entirely smooth path, isn't it? Because it's always like feast or famine.
Yeah.
But it's looking very good now. And what kind of projects are you working on now?
Well, we went through a lot of different phases actually. So from the 6D, I was basically doing something that in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, it's called an after movie or after movie. So it's basically this kind of compilation cut of an event. So it's an event videography, if you like. So I did that for parties, I did that for business events, but I was mostly into the corporate business. So doing a lot of corporate films. And well, in corporate, if you know what you're doing, and you have a bit of an insight in how businesses work, you can make videos that corporates are really happy with, and at the same time make a decent amount of money. And so from there on, I really wanted to get a better camera. And at some point, I think this is a nice. Not necessarily I would recommend this, but I think that what's really cool is that I got a client in, and I rented a Red once, the Red 1 at that time, and I told him about 4K, and this guy was all going like, "Oh, this is so amazing! I want this, so let's do it, man. What do you need? I'll pay the rent for it. That's fine." So I was happy that I could, for the first time, use a proper camera, if you like. And after that one production, I think in January or in February, I talked to him about the productions that we would do for that year, and he told me like, well, why can't you do everything on that Red? I would like, well, that would be proper expensive because I need to rent it, I need a crew and everything. And then he told me like, well, what if I would pay you all the money up front, and you would just then buy a Red, because then at that time the Red Scarlet Dragon was just announced, I think. So I went ahead and did that, which I was getting very sweaty at that point. I was really nervous doing that. But in the end, it made a huge difference in how I further then grew my business, because
you were then suddenly probably seen as being at the top level, as well as producing great images.
Yeah, actually, I would say that when I got the camera, I was actually disappointed, because the first time I turned it on and I recorded something, I was like, "Wow, this looks like shit. It doesn't look that good. How is this possible?" But the thing, I probably didn't realize that much. And when I used that Red 1 for the first time, I did it with lights and everything. Yeah. And when I got this Scarlet Dragon in, that was basically me trying to do the same thing as I was doing with this, with the DSLR.
Yeah.
And suddenly, you see every detail. Yeah. You see the...
Yeah, good and bad.
Yeah, so you see all the differences in color. If you have practicals in the background that are a bit greenish, the camera will show. You know, it doesn't matter if you have a Red or an Arri or a Sony for that matter. But suddenly your eyes are opened, and because I had never been to film school, suddenly like you see all the muddy stuff as well. I need to correct for it or know how to shoot with that. So it made me a better filmmaker.
And it's reasonable, really, isn't it? Because you've got a more analytical tool. If your camera is more analytical, more kind of searching, then you really do have to up your game in terms of your production design.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so but that was a huge leap forward for me. And well, later on, I'm happy that I did it. I kind of bluffed my way through it. But in the beginning, it was actually a tough learning. Yeah, I would say.
And now, you know, you're moving into a more sort of directorial role. Yeah. And we were having a conversation, I think, yesterday, where now, whereas you kind of own these fine cameras, you're now moving across to a position where you want to be independent of the camera, so that if you have a cinematographer who you are directing, you want to give them the freedom to use an Arri or a Venice or whatever they are most used to, because their familiarity with the device is what enables them to interpret your instructions most efficiently.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to give that... I think that like me growing up professionally, I went from really, and I think a lot of people do this, you're really focused on the tech side.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, if you don't know the tech side enough, then you can't really work it. So the first thing I learned was, you know, like how does ISO work? How does a sensor actually work? All these things. And now moving more into the directing side and more like, if you like, the creative side, then suddenly, you know, you talk to DOPs and I don't want to force them into my ecosystem because it's my ecosystem. Like for me, the camera is set up, I chose that camera, I know exactly what it can do. But if I work with a DOP, that DOP might go like, yeah, well, great for you, I can do that. It will cost me a week because I don't know that camera for whatever reason. Maybe it's not the way I would like to shoot it, or I don't trust or like the color science of it. So you're getting into this whole new realm where other things are more important. And so now I'm really thinking about like, will I ever invest in such a high-end camera again? Because well, I might not want to. The other thing though is that for me, it is good to own a high-end cinema camera, because I've like moved from more like the corporate side into documentary. And in documentary, there isn't that much money, or it's not, well, if you know what you're doing, sure, but a lot of things you will get the budget after you've shot something. So now it's really useful to have that red camera, for example, to shoot stuff and to know that it's basically not the highest quality. It's like the production quality you want it to be, without having to rent for, I think that in Amsterdam, rental of a helium would go for like 1,000, 1,200 euros a day, and that's only the camera.
What about something like an FS7, which is like, you know, it's not quite in red or Venice territory, but it's a very popular camera, especially for rental. Would you consider owning something like that?
Yes. I think that Bas from 3 years ago would go, what? But yeah, sure. Because it's more like, if you talk to clients, if you talk to film funds, if you talk to like, sure, I think it's really important to have a good looking image. So you want to make sure that it's like the highest level you can possibly get. But the good thing about an FS7, for example, is just like the lightness of it. If you put a V-Log on an FS7, that will last, well, for ages, coming from a red, for example, because it will take
that's my reasoning. I mean, you know, when you can use the very high-end cameras, that's great, but they have their special demands, don't they, in terms of high power consumption.
Exactly.
You know,
which is fine if you're on a set, right? Like if it's a commercial or feature film.
If you're doing a documentary.
For documentary, other things are more important. And well, the most important thing is, well, I could shoot it with my iPhone if like the content is good. Well, that would have the highest priority. If you
have like, you know, that unfortunate plane landing on the Hudson River, you're not going to get any national TV network saying, I'm not going to show that footage because it was shot on an iPhone.
Exactly.
So it's all about context, isn't it?
Yeah. So that is changing my thoughts on you know, what is important. The only thing is that for me, like, I love technology, I love camera technology, so in a way I'll always be drawn to the more aesthetical side, and therefore to the more higher end cameras, probably. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, that's a great insight, and we're going to wrap it up now. Been a fascinating day. Just want to remind you that you've been watching this live courtesy of Sony's virtual production technology, which I think is going to be absolutely transformative in the industry. It's early days yet, and they're still developing it, but it can only grow and grow, and I think there's this time maybe 3 years ahead. This is going to be the norm for live production because the advantages are so massive, and we've just seen a taste of that today. And you know, we're not experienced at using this stuff, but we've managed to get it out, and these 2 live shows that we've done. So thanks very much for watching. Keep your eyes on Red Shark as ever. You'll see some more stuff about Sony virtual production technology. You'll see some more great videos from Bas. And thanks very much. We'll see you soon.